Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So we are from Group 8, the material about integration skills-based language learning. So before we are start the presentation today, let me introduce our group members. The first is Tuti Anggraini as a speakers and me Cindy Ramadan Dipa as a moderator and speakers. Okay, table of content of today is 1. A reason for integration, 2. Content-based interaction, 3. Themes-based interactions, 4. Experiential learning, 5. Task-based teachings. Okay, the first is the reason for integration. The reason for integration in learning skills is to provide learners with a more comprehensive and critical understanding of the language by integrating all language skills like reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Simultaneous. Learners are able to see how their skills are interconnected and how they can be used together in a real-life situation. Reason for integration: content-based interaction, experiential learning, deeper understanding for content, interested student motivation, active engagement of students, and holistic approaches to learning. Number 2 is a content-based interaction. Content-based interaction, or CBI, is a teacher method of combining language and context learning. Some writers have dived to definition of content and content-based interaction, or CBI. Chapter 1.10.10.3 defines content as any topic of intellectual substance which contributes to understanding of language in general and the target language in particular. Content-based interaction. Focus of CBI is the focus of CBI lesson is on the topic or subject matters. During the lesson, students are focused on learning about something. Traditional language education focus entirely on the study of the language. A traditional language lesson typically would implement learning and memorizing vocabulary and grammar. Example of CBI. A teacher will present the content and students may participate in activities or complete worksheets. But a lesson using content-based interaction could be anything. For example, a language lesson could be learning how to cook, phrase quizzes, and studying the history of the Spanish Americans, or we are examining the geographies of Europeans, and below are other examples of potential contexts for the content-based learner. Okay, that's all from me. The next material will be explained by Tuti Anggraini. Tuti, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I will continue the material. So, the next material is about theme-based interaction. Theme-based interaction is an approach to teaching that organizes content and material around a specific topic or theme. This approach can be used in the language teaching, where teacher may choose any theme and create lesson and activity around the topic. And then, theme-based language interaction model. The theme-based language interaction model centers language learning around a specific theme. Teacher may choose any theme and create lesson and activity around the topic. The student may also suggest themes that are interesting to them. Here are some example themes that can be used in theme-based interaction. First is food. This theme can be used to teach vocabulary related to food, cooking, and nutrition. Activities can include reading recipes, writing menus, and discussing cultural differences in food. And the second is travel. This theme can be used to teach vocabulary related to travel, transportation, and geography. Activities can be include planning a trip, writing a travel blog, and discussing culture different in travel. And the third is environment. This theme can be used to teach vocabulary related to environment, sustainability, and climate change. Activities can include discussing environment issues, writing letters to local officials, and researching environment solutions. And the fourth is culture. This theme can be used to teach vocabulary related to different culture, custom, and tradition. Activities can include learning about holidays, festivals, and tradition from different culture and comparing and contrasting culture different. And the last is health. This theme can be used to teach vocabulary related to health, wellness, and fitness. Activities can include discussing healthy habits, writing health journals, and researching health topics. And the next material is about experiential learning. Experiential learning is an approach to teaching and learning that emphasizes learning by doing and reflecting on the experience. Experiential learning activities can be used to provide learners with a more authentic and engaging learning experience. By engaging learners in hand-on activities and reflecting on their experience, teachers can help learners to develop their language skill in a more natural and meaningful way. Here are some examples of experiential learning activities. For the first is teaching walk. A teaching walk is when the teacher goes on an educational trip with the student, walk with them throughout the school ground, and takes note of what they observe. After this activity, teachers are able to come back into the classroom and teach about what they saw by having students reflecting on their observation. And the second is experiment. Experiment can be considered experimental learning because students must decide how to investigate a question, collect data, and then critically analyze their findings. This approach can help learners to develop their scientific skills and language proficiency. And the third is outdoor classroom. Many experiential learning activities can be used in an outdoor classroom or for environment education purpose. This might include visiting natural areas or parks, building trails, conducting water quality tests, and exploring ecosystem. And the fourth is travel. Taking an educational field trip to other place and immersing students in other culture allow them to have a better understanding of the world around them. The authentic experience that they have while on their educational field trip will enhance their learning, which can be brought back into the classroom. And the fifth is volunteering. Volunteering in the community gives students a greater understanding of the value of the volunteering as well as some experience in following instruction and being part of a team. And the sixth, apprenticeship. Apprenticeship provide valuable hands-on learning experience that students cannot gain from traditional classroom activities such as lecture. And the seventh, role-playing. Role-playing can be used to provide learners with an active role in the learning. This approach can help learners to develop their language skill in a more natural and meaningful way. And so the last is case studies. Case studies can be used to provide learners with the real-world example of how to apply their knowledge and skill. This approach can help learners to develop their critical thinking and problem-solving skill. And the last material is about task-based teaching. Task-based teaching is an approach to language teaching that emphasizes the use of the authentic language to complete meaningful tasks in the target language. Overall, task-based teaching is an effective approach to language teaching that can help learners to develop their language skill in a more natural and meaningful way. By focusing on meaning, using authentic communication, and challenging students to the problem tasks that resemble real-life situation. Teachers can provide learners with a more engaging and effective language learning experience. Here are some case concepts related to task-based teaching. For the first is task-based learning. Task-based learning is, or TBL, is all about students creating, producing, or designing something in the class that reflect real-life situation. TBL includes the skill of the communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, and can also be described as a short interactive assignment that results in a finished product. And the second is focus on meaning. In the task-based teaching, the primary focus of classroom activity is the task, and the language is instruments that students use to complete it. The activity reflects real life, and learners focus on meaning, so they are free to use any language they want. And the third is 3 stages. Task-based teaching is typically based on 3 stages: free task, task cycle, and language focus and feedback. The free task stages introduce the topic and the task. The task cycle involves the task planning and report, and the language focus and feedback stage provide a balance between the fluency and accuracy. And the fourth is authentic communication. Task-based teaching aims to make language in the classroom truly communicative, rather than the pseudo-communication that result from classroom activities with no direct connection to real-life situation. This approach can help learners to develop their language skill in a more natural and meaningful way. And the last is real-life situation. Task-based teaching challenges students to perform tasks that resemble authentic, real-life situations. This approach can help learners to develop their language skill in a more practical and applicable way. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you. Back to the moderator.
Okay, that's all from our material today. I hope we gain a new knowledge from our explanation today. If we have a mistake, I'm sorry for the mistake. Thanks for your extension. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.